right now. As you can see from your live shot, they are taking, methodically going vehicle by vehicle, trying to lift them with cranes, wreckers, trying to see if there are SUVs or cars underneath the very center core of that accident of 15 semis. I have teams of coroners from surrounding counties helping me down there. Our county has activated their disaster plan for ambulances, IU Health LaPorte, St. Anthony's, accepting patients. There are busloads of people walking wounded being transported to LaPorte Hospital right now as we speak, so they don't tie up the critical ambulance functions right now. But just a very bad mess out there. It's probably going to be closed most of the night. But what I'm hoping for, in my heart, I hope those people are okay underneath those semis. There's so many vehicles that haven't been checked.
Underneath the semis. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Cranes, wreckers, extrication. There's multiple fire departments out there doing the best they can. But right now, thankfully, just 2 dead so far. And I hope that's all we have.
Oh, it's 2 dead.
Can we ask you, John, I know you were talking about those who might be hurt and even some being taken by buses. I think you said about the busload to other areas. Do you have any idea as to how many have been transported at this time?
I heard scanner reports of a busload of 15 to 20 walking wounded being taken to IU LaPorte Hospital about 10 to 15 minutes ago. And from the news shots right now, I see other transportation buses there also to get the non-critical patients. But we certainly want to search the scene good. Those people would be suffering, if they are still alive in those cars, from hypothermia, possibly multiple long bone fractures, just exposure to the elements, a lot of trauma. Maybe we'll lift those semis and we won't find anything, but we're ready just in case they do lift those semis with cranes and wreckers and find people deceased. There's school buses out there right now transporting walking wounded. They're doing the best they can. It's just a very chaotic scene right now. And I guess other areas of I-94, the sun is shining. When I talked to the Berrien County coroner, he says, northern Berrien County, the sun was shining. So it just goes to show you the different kinds of weather we can have around the Great Lakes. And unfortunately, this happens every now and then. It's been a rough winter.
So, John, you said 15 to 20 that you know of transported walking wounded to IU LaPorte Hospital. Do you have any, and 2 dead, that's been confirmed. Do you have any idea how many people more critically injured have been transported by ambulance?
Not a definite count, but there's been ambulances from all over that they're loading down, taking people to Franciscan St. Anthony's. I'll try to get a count for you as soon as I can, but right now I would say many.
But John, you seem to be indicating that you're thinking there may be others, of course, who are still trapped in the wreckage that still have to be rescued in order to be taken somewhere. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, and they're doing the best they can. I see multiple tow trucks on the scene. The firemen are working with the jaws. It's just so much destruction. They have to tear apart those vehicles and semis and move them little by little to see if there is a car underneath it or under the trailer or squished between them. That's where they're at right now. So they're doing that as quickly as they can.
John, I have a question for you about the hospitals in the area. You talked about Franciscan St. Anthony and IU LaPorte Hospital. Are those hospitals equipped with the emergency facilities to deal with the magnitude of an accident and the fallout from an accident like this?
Yes, in my heart, yes. From transporting patients myself as a paramedic to those hospitals, yes, they can handle it. They may have to transport some. I know they were trying to get some medical helicopters in there now that the snow has stopped to go to a trauma center like Chicago or South Bend Memorial. But yes, those hospitals have activated their disaster plans, bringing in more people, and they're very aptly able to handle these types of patients. We've brought 15 to 20, 25 patients to each hospital before, and it's a little chaotic, but they've always come through and did a good job. So I have all confidence they'll come through this time too.
So John, can you talk at all about the conditions there? I mean, obviously you had lake effect snow coming down, that band that was coming down through the Michigan City area, and we can see, of course, the snow in the interstate. But have you been out and around? Was it particularly bad in your area?
Yeah, those fingers of lake effect snow, like always, it just affected mainly LaPorte County this time. The other day, Lake County was getting it good, and Porter County, and you guys up in Chicago. So it just depends what way that wind blows. But the conditions just were ripe for tragic. The I-94 got glazed over very quick and just became a sheet of ice, and that's what led to all this because of the blowing, blinding snow. And then if you go probably 5 to 10 miles either way, it's probably you might have no snow or even the sun shining, like I've heard. So, what are you going to do about this weather in the Midwest? We deal with it when we're given it, and we sure hope we don't have any more than 2 fatalities out of this, but we're ready in case we do.
John, have you been able to pinpoint a time when this accident happened? We know it's been within the last hour.
Yeah, I would say, I'd say they've been out there working this accident now for about 90 minutes. So I'm going to say maybe about 3 o'clock this would have come in.
John, with your background as a paramedic, the clock is ticking away here. How imperative is it that they get to those people quickly, especially considering the cold?
Very critically imperative, because you talk about that golden hour for trauma patients that they need to be from to the operating room in 1 hour. We're past that, of course, and if they do have severe long bone fractures, hypothermia, chest injuries, stuff like this, the clock is really against them. So my hope is that once they get all this untangled, they will find those people alive. Your shot right now that they're showing, I know they're working on a gold car next to that white semi there. They're doing the best they can. I'm keeping my hopes up, but that everyone on the scene is doing the best they can, and we're sure keeping our fingers crossed that
I wonder how that happened.
Honestly, John, I'm looking at the image, the same image.
Happened about an hour ago. And they got a camera from a helicopter. Their helicopter camera's getting this picture.
Destruction and the force that happened with, that just totally annihilated all those cars in there. Just a very tragic scene. I really hate to see stuff like this. This is terrible.
It is heartbreaking looking down, and as you see that just crumple of metal there beside the semi, as we're getting a little closer view here, and as they're parting those semis just a little bit as they're trying to extricate people, you can see other masses of metal in there, and it's disturbing at the very least.
How can they do this so meticulously, John? And at the same time, you're talking about the need of heavy duty wreckers and cranes perhaps to even pull this apart.
Yeah, it's all an orchestrated effort. I've been doing this 35 years in law enforcement and EMS, coroner. Everybody's got their job to do. Everybody's got their little slice of the pie. The wrecker operators, the firefighters extricating, the coroners, the police officers, EMS, medic, fire, they've all got a job to do. And right now, it could be a grim job. We really don't know. But looking down upon that wreck right now, it's just heartbreaking, isn't it?
It certainly is.
John, how much more difficult does the cold weather make it for the search and rescue that are out there doing their job, besides the fact that they're just, absolutely frozen because it's so cold outside? In terms of working the equipment, all of that, has that become a factor?
Yes, the fire trucks will tend to freeze up if you have fire involved, which I don't believe they had any active flames, but they still got lines pulled. The intakes on the trucks will freeze up. It just adds it throws one more wrench in the gears of the rescue. But the guys have done it before, and they'll do it again. And, if they have to rescue people, we have to do it whether it's 90 outside or whether it's 20 below. So they always come through, and you can see all the people right now just doing the best they can. There's probably 30 to 40 people on the scene working to get this wreck apart right now. So it's just a massive undertaking.
It is, John. We can see, of course, they're dealing with other issues that have happened as a result of this. The liquid that we see all over the interstate. I don't know if that's fuel or if it's something else.
Diesel fuel. They have multiple ruptured tanks, and the LaPorte County Hazardous Materials team is on the scene with diking equipment, booms, absorbent pads to get that diesel fuel before it goes down in the creek. But you've got those saddle tanks on those semis, and each side probably carries 200 gallons. So you might have 400 gallons of diesel on every truck. And as you can see there, that's the fluorescent green colored fuel. That's the dyed fuel that they run in the wintertime. That's what's on the road right now. So that's making it also slippery and hazardous. That whole scene would be flammable right now because you've got diesel fluid out. So that's one more wrench to add in the gears.
John, as you look down at these images, we're all saying the same thing right now. With your trained eye as a coroner, as a paramedic, are you seeing some things that we aren't?
I'm trying to keep my head up and saying that we won't have any more fatalities, but looking down on that wreckage right now, I don't see how it's possible how we can't, because if there's cars between those units, semis that they haven't even checked yet or just can't get to. Well, I'd say that unfortunately it's a pretty grim circumstance, but they're working as quickly as they can to get people out, and hopefully they're still alive.
John, I don't recall. I mean, in my experience here, I'm trying to think of the last time where I've seen so many trucks involved in a crash like this. Does anything come to your memory?
Yeah, I can't remember the severity or the number of vehicles in quite a while. We've got all the big roads in our county, I-94, the toll road, US 30, US 20. We're used to maybe 2 or 3 semi-vehicles, but when you get around 15 or 20 semis and multiple cars, that really taxes the response. But they brought out a lot of resources at the scene right now. The road is closed for their safety, and I imagine it'll remain closed probably the rest of the night. Like you say, when you have a fatality, that leads to more investigation. So they're just methodically going vehicle by vehicle, checking everyone, and hopefully we'll leave the count at 2.
John, can we read anything into what's going on there right now by the pace of the people who are working? Everyone appears to be working very diligently, but it doesn't appear like there's a lot of running.
Right, I don't see that. Probably we don't run a lot, it seems, because on the ice will fall down. I've fallen many times, so I know what you're getting at. I hope that our count is only at 2. I'll be getting a report back from the scene here at the control room in just a little bit, just as to see how many more patients they have or deceased. But I'm very hopeful that they'll find some people alive in that wreckage. It's just tragic to look at. It's very hard to look at, isn't it?
It certainly is, and now I see these workers who are, of course, climbing on this one tanker truck that's involved in this crash, and we don't know what's in any of these semis, but obviously that's something that emergency workers have to contend with and have to know. What are they dealing with here? What are the other possibilities of whether it's chemical related or something of totally different?
Yeah, and I'm sure that's why hazmat is on the scene between that diesel fuel spill and that tanker truck that you see. They want to check it for rupture, make sure it's not leaking, see what's in it. Of course, many things go down our roads nowadays, and they're placarded with many hazardous chemicals. That's just the way transportation works. They're built very strong. Those tanks are strong, and I have not heard of any ruptures in those vessels on those so far. So I think maybe they're just checking it to be sure, but our entire county hazmat team is out there right now.
John, we did see earlier one of the semis being towed away. That was actually one in the very front of this massive pilot that you see here, but the others they're going to have to take some time to get to. But I don't know if in your communications you're hearing for any calls of heavier equipment that perhaps they might require to get these trucks moved or not.
Yeah, I think they'll have to bring in from our local towing agencies some wreckers that actually have cranes on them, if not a crane itself, to lift that semi off of the vehicles and see what they have. We do have those resources available to us, heavy-duty recovery vehicles, rescue vehicles, tow cranes. It just takes a while to get them in there, and to get to the center of that accident is going to take quite a while. So it's just painstakingly, methodically checking everything. I see multiple wreckers lined up there right now, but they're going to have to bring in units with cranes on them to lift them.
That was my question, if what they had on the scene was actually adequate or not, if they need something even bigger than that.
John, when we first started talking about 15 minutes ago, you said that the number of walking wounded that you understood had been taken to local hospitals, 15 to 20 in a bus, we have 2 confirmed dead. Do you have any updated numbers?
Oh, no.